Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second segment of the Para Podcast. We, as a Para Podcast team, we dedicated to exploring incredible work that paramedics across the world, not just South Africa, have produced. And in the second segment, we're gonna be kicking off with talking about Dr. Clive Sibanda's book. We're excited to kick off on a series of the journeys that led people into through medicine. We'll be discussing the fascinating and inspiring book From Soldier to Doctor, a journey through the life of hardship and hard work by Dr. Zaifani Clive Sibanda. Your full name and surname.
Yes.
Yes. His story.
You're not supposed to call your uncle by name. You know that.
I think you just lost your title.
I don't understand this thing.
Anyway, so his story, from navigating the complexities of apartheid to achieving his dream in the medical field, offers a unique lens through which to view resilience, determination, and unwavering human spirit. So I'll suggest that you should buckle up, go grab coffee, and let's get into it. Now, Doctor, I'm afraid to say Zaifani Clive Sibanda. Stigma now. Now,
no.
Doctor, can I say Dr. Uncle Sibanda? Sounds right.
Well, whichever way. You can call me Dr. Clive. A lot of people call me Dr. Clive.
Oh, Pramzi. How's that done?
It's still fine. It doesn't change who I am, eh?
Yeah.
Now, just to tell us about the book, From Doctor to Soldier. What inspired for you to write a book like this?
you know, as we were speaking about Bramuzi, there's a WhatsApp that just came in, and the person is going like, "Hey, Bramuzi, it's a greeting." and like she was listening to the
podcast.
Yeah. Tulani, funny enough, how I started the book was actually not even intentional. When I sit in meetings, I tend to get bored, especially when people talk for long hours, and getting bored makes me lose focus, and I end up not enjoying the meeting. But what I found is that when I keep myself busy whilst in a meeting, I can also listen and be productive. I'll tell a very funny story. When I was still working in Mpumalanga, we had a session, a strategic work session with external service providers that were actually running the program. And the directors of the company that were contracted were sitting behind me. And I was on my laptop, working on my laptop, and then I would open my tablet and look for something on my tablet, and then I'll move from there onto the phone and then still concentrate on what was discussed.
Dr. Clive? I think
you're supposed to say Dr. Uncle Clive. Don't lose the pattern of how you speak.
Guys, you guys are affecting me.
Yeah,
exactly.
we are back.
Okay. Yes, you said you would raise your hand.
Yeah, I would raise my hand and I would respond. So this woman and the gent that were sitting behind me, they were observing me all this time, and the answers that I was giving was relevant to the discussions that were had in the group. So during the tea break, they decided that, no, man, we need to speak to this person, and they come up to me and say, "Hey, what's your name?" And I said, "My name is Clive," and they said to me, "You know what? We were sitting behind you and we were looking at you all this time. You kept on going from your laptop to your tablet to your phone, and yet you were also involved in the discussions. How do you do it?" And I said to him, "I don't know. I just found myself keep doing that and keeping myself busy actually kept me in the meetings all the time. So now going to how the book started, I was sitting in a meeting 4 years back, and because I had done presenting my part as the emergency medical services, other units were presenting. I then opened my laptop and I actually spoke to the managers that were sitting next to me, and I said to them, I want to write a book. And they said, what? And I said to them, I want to write a book. And they said, are you serious? I said to them, yes, I'm serious. So I opened my laptop and I started typing from soldier to doctor. And everything else started falling into place, and I started typing, 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 typing. By the end of that meeting, I had already written about 8 pages, because the meeting was very long. So at the end of that meeting, from about 11 o'clock, I had already written about up to 5 pages. And from then on, that's when I started, bringing in more information and more information into the book. The whole aim of writing the book was just to share my experience with people close to me. And I just wanted to, put it out there and say, guys, you know what? You guys think you had things difficult. Look at the journey that I had to endure. And some of them, when reading the manuscript at the time, they were like, "Are you serious? This is what you've experienced." And so, some shed tears, having to listen to the narration of the things that I had to go through. And my insurance broker, Andre Blefnout, from Sanlam, said, I'm not promoting Sanlam, by the way, said to me one day, why don't you just publish this, and see what will happen? And I said to him, Andre, I don't want to publish this. I just want to share the knowledge and experience that I had to endure in my life with people. And he said to me, no, man, just go for publication. So eventually I decided, let me just write it to publish. I was not looking at making a quick buck. I was just publishing it to just share and inspire those that are uninspired. And before you know it, I was searching for publishers and I found one. And the publisher that I published through um, was the first one that came up on the screen when I started searching. And I said, let me go with this one and see. I communicated with them. They sent me a quotation. I liked it, and they sent me what they offering in terms of services. And I said, "Oh, by all means, let's go for it." So I paid my dues, and then they requested for the manuscript. I gave it to them. The lady that works for the publishing company came back to me and said, "You know what? This is actually a very nice story to share with people, because we've got people in the rural areas who do not have any mentors, that will mentor them into, taking up their journeys. People give up along the way, and having read your manuscript, this might touch, even if it touches one person, it will have made a difference to that one particular person. But remember, him making, a change in his life will also contribute in making a change in people that are around him. So that's where the journey started.
Hmm. Can we
That's
see the picture of the cover of your book? I think I like the cover. It looks interesting.
Soldier to doctor. I wanted to find out, is it translated or is it only in English? Because I'm just
Currently,
thinking, if you want to speak to the locals,
currently
it will be ideal if it can be in Zulu and Xhosa and the rest.
Currently, it's still in English. Isn't it? You need to go through all other processes to see whether you're going to have, because putting it out in different languages and it does not actually, gain momentum. It becomes, sort of like a fruitless exercise. Um, I'm still going to go for the book launch, where I'm going to invite, people to the book launch. At least if I can get 100 people in the book launch, then during that launch, we'll then test the waters and see whether we're able to reach a lot of people. And if we can, then by all means, we'll start doing the translation, because um, the publisher told me that it needs to be a fine space in the libraries as well, because when you publish a book, it must also go to the library. So I'm still to send copies to the National Library so that it gets a fine space there. And that's when we're going to start seeing the demand for the book as well.
and
Okay.
just to continue, Dr. Clive, is that
Yes, sir.
I've known you well, known you, as I explained in the first segment, that I've heard about you.
Yes.
But however, on social media, I've known for years and years and years and years and years. And one of the things that hurt me, or that I didn't know what to say when you posted it on social media, and we've chatted about this, is that when you lost your wife.
Yeah.
And when somebody, and this is something that is confusing on social media, is that when somebody posts, "I've lost my mother," or "I've lost my," do you like? Do you love? Do you give thumbs up? You don't know
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
react.
How to react to it? Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
And from, although there's more emoticons that you can choose now, but it's still a challenge. Is that your book is intended to encourage those who are facing difficult parts.
Mm.
And I'm sure you've written about that part in your book. What's one key piece of advice from the journey that you would have offered to paramedics currently feeling overwhelmed or facing significant challenges, either through a loss of a loved one, through at work? There's so many challenges that we go through, and as you said, you've reflected on your book about those challenges. What are
Yeah.
those advices that you'd give to people so that they can um, overcome those obstacles? Because I think one of the things that you spoke about, it was mental health and wellness in emergency medical
Yes.
service, which is a big thing. So,
Yeah.
and we'll touch a bit about that. What would you advise people listening to you right now or watching this podcast?
The one key thing that I would say to them is the first thing to do is to pause and then reach out. Because unfortunately, you cannot go through some of these journeys alone. You need people around you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to speak to somebody so that you can go through what you're going through. So as I said, the most important thing is to pause and then reach out. Um, but for those that wants to undertake academic journeys where they feel overwhelmed and so forth, we've got people that has already traveled those journeys. Reach out to those people and speak to them so that they can guide you and give you advice on how they navigated those journeys. Some of us are not fortunate to have people like that. We had to make means of surviving through that. And I think for me, I was driven by the passion of wanting to achieve and wanting to be better and want to be one of the first, you know. And that passion was ignited in me. That's why I pushed so much that I found myself where I am today. But others, they would not have that. So reaching out to people like myself, I would sit you down and talk to you. I had a lady in the office the other day who came and said, you know what, my daughter is going through a difficult time. She's just completed matric. She didn't know what to do. She's afraid to disappoint the mother. At the same time, she wants to do something with her life. But the marks that she got was not enough for her to do what she wanted to pursue. So I said to her, you know what, bring her here, let me speak to her. And she brought her into the office. I gave her the book and said, read the first few pages of the book, then we'll talk. So I carried on working and she read through the book and she read through the book. After reading the first few parts of the book, she paused and said to me, yo, I thought we are having a life so tough. Yet when I read what you went through, yo, it's overwhelming. And I said, yeah, it's because of some of us had the resilience to go through life. And then started asking her questions about what she wanted to do and all that. And I guided her. But by the time they left the office with the mother was so grateful and said, you know what? You've given my daughter a new purpose in life. And thank you very much for, advising her and encouraging her. And I said to her, anytime that she wants to speak to me, she's more than welcome to come and speak to me so that I can, advise her. So for those that wants to undertake journeys and they feel overwhelmed, reach out to people that already has the knowledge and the experience that has walked the journey, and so that they can guide you and give you all the right information. Bushi Arons, Melusi, she was struggling with one assignment and it had to do with risk management. She called me at night and said, Doc, you know what? I'm calling you at a very late hour and I don't know if you'll be able to assist me. And I said to her, what's wrong? And she said to me, I have an assignment of risk assessment. I don't know where to start. And I said to her, send me the question. So she sent me the question on WhatsApp. And before you know it, I typed all the things that she needed to look at in order for her to complete the assignment.
Mm.
She got 89% for that assignment. And
Oh,
she was
that's
saying,
great.
yo, you work so fast because within a space of 30 minutes, I had already given her all the pointers that she needed to look at and also gave some bit of information for her to complete the assignment. And she said to me, you know, you made it so easy. I'm actually very, very happy that I actually reached out to you. So yes, I'm not going to sit here, um, my good sir, and say to you I know everything. But the little knowledge that I can share, I will share with you.
For a
Mm.
second, I thought you were gonna say you did the assignment for her.
No, 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 no. My woman is my good sir. I don't operate like that. Even with my doctors, I don't operate like that. Because if you're going to do it on behalf of the person, what is that person going to learn? You're not
Mm,
going to learn anything. I can rather give you pointers and you do it. Even with my daughters, when they came to me, Daddy, the homework, this and that, I would then say, sit down with them and say, what do you think you should put in here? Let's go through all the pointers. And then we go through all the pointers and then they end up doing the homework themselves. That's the only way to learn because if you do it for them, they don't know how to do it. The next time
mm,
somebody gives them the very same challenge, they won't know how to even start. And I won't be there to do it for them, you know? So that's
mm,
spoiling them. So I don't do assignments. I will just give you all the pointers.
mm.
That's
Yeah,
good.
I
Yeah.
I just have one comment on
Yeah.
this, Tulani, before you continue.
Okay.
And since you're speaking about difficult times, I think one of the other books, I can't remember who the author is, and I think it's something to do with rags to riches, and it speaks about a
Yeah.
story of a gentleman. He used to be a businessman in Alain, and he used to take the camel to Abu Dhabi, and I think it used to take about 6 to 8 hours. And so he kept a picture, and now he was showing a picture to the grandson as to how they used to travel. And he
Yeah.
remembers that for them to move from Alain to Abu Dhabi now takes about an hour, but they still complain that it's very
It's
long.
too
It's a very
long.
long journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is an hour now compared to when they used to take about 6 hours. Now, just to
Yeah.
follow up with that, and I know that the most difficult thing in the world is to open up a new page and start writing, and that
Mm.
is where some people have the idea, but it's a starting point. And
Yeah.
obviously you've gone through this experience. Uh, to someone out there that wants to start writing a book, what would you say to them?
You know, having the tools to write a book is important because with me, there's three other books that I'm writing.
Ambition, ambition.
And then you say you're a novice writer. But anyway,
No, but those ones are actually at the beginning stage. So the key there is when an idea comes to mind, open up your laptop and start typing. And the idea starts flowing and flowing and flowing and just type anything that comes to mind before you know it we'll have an amount of information that when you start structuring it correctly and putting it into place it will then give you a sufficient amount of information that you can build on to continue writing your book. So that's how I normally write. When an idea comes to mind, I'll just sit and I type and I type and I start thinking about what else can I put in, and I put it in. And before you know it, I've got a wealth of information that I built on, and then that's how the book comes into play. Just like the one on PTSD, I was sitting and thinking, but we don't have enough exposure in terms of PTSD in the EMS. Do our people actually know what PTSD is? Do they know how to identify it? Why don't I just do quick research on PTSD and put it in? And that's how the book started. I'm sitting at about 90 pages now of that particular book. So that's how I started with writing. But the other advice I could give is if because people don't know how to write, if you don't have the experience, rather speak to a book writer so that they can sit down with you. You narrate and they type for you. And that's how you'll also learn on how to write because we are not all gifted the same way. So yeah, those are the few advices that I can give.
There's something
Wow.
else that I've learned recently, is that if you take your phone and you go to the voice recorder, you record, and
Yes,
then you can actually ask for a transcript, mostly on
yes,
iPhones, and then you can copy
exactly.
that,
In
and
Samsung,
then you
in Samsung.
that
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah, I think it does that.
And then you can paste that. I can continue talking about this technology, but it has saved me a lot, even on typing
Mm,
minutes and stuff like that. But yeah,
yeah.
I admire that you're writing 3 books. I'm interested. What are the titles of the others, or what are they about? Because maybe the titles are not there.
Okay. Going back to what Tulani said about seeing on social media that I lost my wife. The one book is about conversations with my wife.
Oh.
And I wanted to make it a memoir for the kids, so that they can understand the journeys that me and their mother took. Because our kids are not exposed to what we go through as parents to make sure that they live a comfortable life. They think that they just come and say, "Daddy, I want this," and we give money, or "Daddy, I want this," and we go buy for them. They don't understand the sacrifices that we go through to make sure that they get what they asking for. So the conversation with my wife, it's about that, where the manner in which I'm writing it is like I'm talking to my wife sitting in front of me, because if I were to start with chapter one, I said, I remember everything just like it was yesterday. You remember when we started getting together, and this is so you see the narration is like I'm talking
Mm.
to somebody that is sitting next to me. So that's the approach of the book. It's almost 3/4 complete, because there's also some emotive writing that goes into it, which makes me stop at times, and then I reflect on that. And before you know it, I close it up and say, no, I think I've had enough of this. I'll write it at another time when I'm feeling better, because the journey of mourning is not over a period of years. The journey of the mourning journey continues forever, because there are moments in life that will remind you of certain things that you used to do with your partner that you can no longer do. So when I become emotional, I just stop and said, nah, let me revisit it at another time. So yeah, that's the title
Yeah.
of the one. Mm.
And I'm not gonna ask you about the other title of the book, but you
Why?
mentioned I already
It's
got
Why?
not
the title.
about you, Tulani.
It's not about you.
I think I think he can tell you the title of the book. I don't want to spill the beans. He can tell you about it.
But
But
I asked the question, and
Well,
and
the other title of the book is Surviving PTSD.
yeah,
The experiences of paramedics on South African streets.
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, sorry,
so
sorry,
yeah,
Tulani. Um, I think it's important I say this. We appreciate that you're talking about this. This is vulnerability. People, when they see you,
mm,
they see a big man, a strong man who gives
mm,
orders to them. They forget that there is that part about you, and I can't really fathom the feeling that you have when you sit down and write there. It's
yeah,
something that is it's serious. It
yeah,
touches emotions and spaces that are sensitive to you. So I can picture that. I think as people in general, while we're talking about these issues that hurt us, as we are talking here, at times we end up talking about things that are sensitive to us, and sometimes it
mm,
helps us
mm,
to talk about them as people. As actually we were talking earlier, I was thinking about
yeah,
a case I had today. I had a resus today, and transported the patient to hospital alive, and they died later. And I was just thinking about that. It's a reality. It's the jobs that we have. It's
exactly.
we are humans, and we feel it sometimes. And to talk about these things, we share, and it has some catharsis that it brings at some point.
Yeah,
when
you know what, Melissa, you're quite right, because the culture that we grew up in is that men don't cry, and that's nonsense.
Mm,
We've got
mm,
emotions. We are not robots. We are not
mm,
robots. And me now, if I have to shed a tear, I will shed a tear. I don't care who says what. I've got
mm,
emotions, and that
mm,
does not make me weak or in any way whatsoever. It just shows that I am a human being, just like
mm.
everybody else that cries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. And we are men
Hey,
here, and we cry.
Yes.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
he's still talking about it.
just
so so
you know,
the title of the third book is The Experience and Life in the Public Sector. I want to
Oh,
write about the journey. Yes, because I've
okay.
worked in 4 provinces and I've worked in the military, and each and every one of those experiences is totally different from one another. So I want to put it out there as well, to so that people can read about because people think that working in the public sector is a glorified work job where we sit and not do anything. Yo, there's a lot that we go through.
Nah,
There's a
yeah,
lot that
nah,
we go through.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
so just to talk about a few things that Malus is dropping big words today. I don't know what's wrong with him. Tonight he's busy.
I've been typing.
um,
I've been typing. A lot.
but
He's
uh,
schooling us, eh?
yeah, but I think just to bring us back is that the issues that we're talking about now is very serious issues, and some of it is closer to my heart.
Yeah.
And you've reflected on your journey as when you lost your wife and the book that you're writing. I think it's a beautiful book, and it's many people can relate to that book. I hope it does
Yeah.
well, but not the fact that it does well, but I hope it can help people to heal.
Yes.
My analogy
Yes.
about this thing is that the wounds heal, but the scars will always be there. Wherever you go, the
Yes.
scars will always be there to remind us
Yes.
that
Yes.
we've gone through the tragedy, we've gone through that. And when you bring it to emergency medical services, it speaks to not operational, it speaks to occupational stress,
Yeah.
burnout, moral injury. My
Mm,
research that I did for my master's was on burnout in emergency medical services. My
mm, mm,
research
mm.
for my degree was also on burnout, but on students.
Yeah.
Melusi's research was on work stress. What was the title, Melusi? Just I don't want to butcher your stress.
Not sure if I still remember the title, but it's tools used by paramedics to manage work-related stress.
And
Okay.
Tools that are used, by paramedics to manage work-related stress, which actually links to what we're talking about on the on the first
Yes.
episode, and
Yeah.
it's a topic that is close to my heart somehow because
Okay.
I actually engaged with it much deeper. Um, Actually, as we're talking about this, one of the sessions that we had with because I interviewed operational paramedics, not
Yes.
paramedics, just clinicians from different levels, had different groups. And at the end of that session, they actually, one of them came to me and said, Malusi, actually, that felt like a debrief of
Mm,
our entire life of EMS. And
mm.
they really appreciated it. And now I'm talking to the research component, me as a person that was conducting that research as a tool that was correcting data.
Yeah.
I I felt overwhelmed because of their experiences. I felt like it was a lot of work. It
Mm,
was a lot of pain, a lot of challenges that they had. And as it was coming to me, I felt like the weight was on me when I was talking
mm.
about this. And also having multiple people talking to you at the same time about their issues, things that are relevant to them.
Mm.
Obviously, when you are doing qualitative research, you want them to talk. It's not about you. You just
Yeah.
listen and you probe there and you probe there. Um, I felt it. I felt that I was working when I was doing
Mm,
that. Um, so one of the things that we spoke about in the previous episode is that the that man shouted in the bus and said, "Crazy people are going into that bus," and stuff like that. I think, I think there should be because we've seen that there's a problem. Now that's a researcher talking. We've seen that there's a problem, and people
yeah.
don't really like to be in big spaces and discuss issues. Funny that I just spoke
Yeah.
about a group session there, but they were talking. But now because it's also at work happening live there, maybe there should be a way of changing it in a way that accommodates them. Because the fact that
Mm,
they are not getting into the bus does not mean that there is no problem. And it does
mm,
not mean that PTSD is not going to happen. It is going to
mm,
happen. And the fact that that man is laughing at them. We are men, and our job has a lot of males, and we are Africans too. We have our own beliefs. I think it's important that we also design systems that fit for Africans, uh, in an African setting, that can make an African male person be comfortable into talking about these issues without fearing of being laughed at. Because one
Yeah.
of the things that I found was that it was confidentiality. They felt that these systems that are there,
Yes.
they talk to people and there's no confidentiality. You talk to this one,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
3 weeks later you hear your story being spoken about there, and then now it really affects you as a person. So it's, I think, one of those things we do need to look at these things. I do strongly feel that there is a lot of research that we have that we can do in our organizations and just focus on this and grapple these things. Because if you, that's me talking a long time now. If you if you look at the lifespan that we have issues. We end up with PTSD. The quality of work is affected by you
Mm.
having that stress that accumulates over a period of time. You end up having moral injuries. You end up having um, compassion fatigue, all those things. You lack compassion and all those things. So there's a whole lot of stuff that can be done, that can be fixed by just addressing these issues that are there for employees while they're at work. Yeah.
Sounds
Uh,
like
we hear you, and I
you were
and I, and I, and
reading.
I think I agree with what you're saying, Malusi. I think as men and as African men, I think it's very difficult for us to talk about such things. And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't even want to speak to psychologists about it. We prefer to speak to our own colleagues about it. So I
Mm,
think,
mm,
like we know in most Western countries, we have peer support officers and so forth. Maybe
yeah.
perhaps we should explore such means of supporting our colleagues. Because then, if you are comfortable discussing these things with your colleagues rather than another professional, then perhaps that is something that you should look at. I think that's
Yeah.
just from my experience, as I found.
In actual fact, Melusi, my good sir, you spoke as if you were in the room today when I was talking to the other directors of other provinces, and we were talking about exactly what you're saying. To say that the stigmatization and the confidentiality aspect of the consultations has gone out of the window, because before you know it, when they're having tea, you'll hear them talking about Melusi. Melusi came here. There's someone. No, when he's working there, you can see that he's getting divorced. So you must not come and play better here and all that. So they have discussions about us, and then that's what makes people not to consult. And in actual fact, the book that I'm writing about PTSD, at the back, I've taken numbers of the helpline numbers, and I've put them in so that people can make use of those numbers and call in and speak to somebody that they don't see, so that they can get referral or get advice. Because I also want to put in psychologists, numbers in that book. There's a psychology association that I was referred to. I still need to speak to the bosses and say, can I put your helpline in the book, so that when people call, they can speak to a psychologist on the other side of the line, and they can narrate their problem, and then be able to get some assistance. So those are the things that we're looking at, because I've seen that the one-on-one consultation does not work, you know.
Hmm.
And in actual fact, for those researchers, you made me come up with a topic: the impact of the EAP program and how it can impact service delivery. So maybe that's something that we need to see if it is researchable, to say,
Hmm.
what impact does the EAP program have on service delivery,
Hmm.
and then we'll thresh it out by looking at whether does it, assist the employees in order for them to be able to go back into the space and become productive. So that's a topic that needs to be looked into.
So I think Melusi's research also, yeah, if I remember correctly, he did touch on the fact that employees don't even know about the fact that these employee services programs are existing. And you
Exist.
also said it on
Yes.
the other segment. But I
Mm.
think this topic that we're talking about is that we are touching deeply unimportant and often overlooked reality that as African
Yes.
men, all four of us sitting here having these
Yes.
conversations, we expressing our vulnerability, especially around mental health, trauma, professional struggles. And you mentioned also in your book that it's not just difficult, it's culturally and socially discouraged. Now, when
Mm.
you bring that in the EMS context, you get we have work stress that is high, emotionally charged, and that
Yes.
silence is dangerous. I know when I was a student or when I was young, they used to say to us, especially when you look at it in the cultural context, is that they used to say to us, "Indoda ayikali," and that,
Yes.
that that
Which is
is
wrong.
that
What
is
does that
sad.
mean in
Okay,
English? So we don't
can I
understand.
direct translate it? Can I direct translate it?
Tigers don't cry.
Tigers don't
That's what
cry.
it
Yeah.
is. Yes,
so
tigers don't cry.
so we need to start addressing these issues, is that we need to normalize having conversations like this as men,
Yeah.
normalize conversations in the EMS culture, creating safe spaces. You guys touched on the fact that there's no confidentiality. We need to
Yes.
also incorporate mental health into EMS training, and leadership responsibilities. I mean, you today you mentioned that as directors of different provinces in South Africa, we had a meeting where you talk about how do you address these issues in emergency
Mm.
medical services. You probably might create policies that address equity, gender, and also mental health stigma. Because I mean,
Mm. Mm.
mental health, we've been saying this and we've discussed it in a lengthy podcast, is that mental health in emergency, mental health is like any other condition and
Yeah.
it needs to be treated. And something that is important when we address these issues is that we need to leverage on, how do I say it, African cultural strengths, the use of Ubuntu, build on collective resilience and mutual support for each other. You mentioned about support you mentioned about providing support and mentorship to the other people who are
Mm.
junior to
Mm.
you, and promote storytelling and allowing medics to tell their stories. And that might be healing.
Exactly.
What we're doing is important that these things get addressed in order to ensure healing. I don't know if
Mm.
anyone wants to add to that, but I want to move to the other part of your book. Is that you openly discuss facing jealousy and resilience amongst colleagues. How did you navigate those challenging interpersonal dynamics while staying focused on your professional goals and well-being of patients?
Um, I've always used the jealousy that I get from people, the sabotaging and all of that as a fuel to do better.
Mm-hmm.
You put me in a corner and you put me there and say and render me useless. I'm going to use that as a fuel to do better. And that's what happened in my journey. Um, when I did my PhD, we were put aside and said you're no longer managing EMS. Most of the service is taken from you. It's now put in a district. And I said I've got all the time on my hands. I actually registered disaster management and I also registered for the PhD program, and I did both because I had all the time in the world, you know. And normally I use all the negatives that are happening around me to fuel me to do better, so that I can become a better leader. Because the minute you start, um, uh, Babu Span, I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure at my age, and it's because of I've learned one thing: if you can change something, change it, and if you cannot change it, don't stress about it, because it's beyond you. And that's the motto that I've lived with for so long up to now. That is why you won't find me stressing. Or the last time I went to a doctor was in 2006 when my wife forced me to go to a doctor because I was sick of flu. That was the last time I went to consult a doctor. Ever since then, I haven't been to a doctor because of
Hmm.
I've decided I'm not going to allow all of these things to impact my health and my well-being. And I found a way in which I can do away with all these negativities and actually channel them into positives so that I can do better. And I've always done that, and I've excelled at doing that. And people ask me, how do you do it? And I just say to them, I use that I don't care mentality. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people do. I will just be me and do me and make sure that I progress. And that's it. That's what takes me afloat all this time.
Okay. That's the Sibanda genes, guys. You listen, you had no diabetes, no hypertension.
I'm sure that's what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
So Dr. Sibanda, look, I think we don't want to take too much of your time. If you had to say something in closing, especially with regards to your book, what should people look forward to reading your book? And also, the second part to that is that if somebody was looking for your book, how can they reach to getting that book?
I can sit here and say what people should look forward to, but I always say to people when they come to me and say, "Hey, Doc, thank you very much for helping me with 1, 2, 3," and I always say to them, "You must thank yourself for allowing me into your space, because if you are not ready to receive what I'm going to share with you, you would not be where you are. So you must first thank yourself for allowing me into your space. You know, so the book has got information that can inspire those that wants to be inspired, you know, and it can change those that want to be changed. But you must first have that in order for you to see the benefits of the book. But if you don't have it, you can buy it, read it, and it won't mean anything to you. But you must be willing to be inspired, and you must be willing to change, but to be changed by what you read in the book. And for people to access the book, or before I get to accessing the book, I've always lived with one principle, the 3D principle, which is discipline, determination, and dedication. I came up with that principle because it has helped me a lot through the journeys that I've undertaken. And you'll find it also in a book where I speak about the 3D principle. You know, if you don't have discipline, you won't be able to start something. If you're not determined, you won't be able to go anywhere. And if you're not dedicated, you're not going to sit behind the desk and say, I'm going to do this. But if you have all of those three, discipline, determination, and dedication, you can go very far. And I'll go into the book and how I'm reachable. People can just they'll find me on all social medias, your Facebook, TikTok, X, and Instagram. Um, my name is very simple. If you punch on Google, Dr. Clive Sibanda, you'll find all the socials that I'm available on. Even LinkedIn, I'm also there. Um, but I've got a website that was created by the publisher, which is sibandamc.org. If you punch in sibandamc.org, it will take you to the website. And then at the bottom of the website, you'll find the two links for Take a Lot, if you want a hard copy. And if you want the electronical version of the book, you will find a draft to digital, and then you can purchase the electronic version.
An audiobook would be nice too. You know, you can read it for us. And
I know Melissa likes audiobooks.
Yeah, yeah.
I prefer audiobooks as well. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I'm actually in talks with Draft to Digital regarding that. And they said now we'll have a look at it and see, because there are countries, because Draft to Digital is found in about 195 countries worldwide. So they say there are countries that prefers an audiobook instead of based on their market analysis. So we are in talks to see if we cannot create an audiobook.
I'm
All
in
right.
the wrong country.
But look, I know we said we're gonna close. Just one more question. A little birdie, and I'm not mentioning the birdie, told me that you like flashy cars. Now, the cars that you drive, do they represent your character, or what cars match your personality and why? Which cars are
This is
those?
gonna be interesting. GTI.
It's nah, it's probably a Kushesh guy. He's probably a
Ekusheshe.
BMW. Yeah, Kushesh.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, I know what type of friends he likes, but I'm gonna allow him to talk about it.
This guy's an
I'm a
insider.
I'm a Voorsprong dog technique supporter. If you know what Voorsprong dog technique is, then you'll understand the brand of car that I love. I've actually loved the brand since 2008, where I mistakenly bought an Audi A4 2D and ever since then I fell in love with it. The cars that I drive currently, people cannot really tell the type of person that I am because each and every one of these cars has got their own story to tell. I've got a Audi A3, which has got the best sound, which is JBL and all that. So sometimes I roll down the windows
Yeah.
and I blast the sound. And people then says, hey, but that one. And then I've got an Audi RS5 Cabriolet, which I normally take on long trips and all that. And it confuses people. Then I've got an Audi Q5, which is more of a family car. So you can't really put me as to where am I in terms of, the type of person. I fit into every character, when I drive this car, because each and every one of them changes your character in a way. When I drive the RS5, I get stopped by so many people, even the police and the likes. But when you drive the Q5, they give you more respect. And when you drive the A3, you get these young boys coming and say, hey, brah,
And
your
girls.
sound system is
Let's
so nice.
race.
And
Um,
girls.
yeah, you know what? You know what? Then I'm not going to shy away from. You get a lot of attention from women. The most important thing is how you react to them. Do you
Yes,
entertain it?
yes.
Or do you don't entertain it? And I've taken a stance not to entertain it. And actually, some of them, one said to me, this one is so uptight. This car doesn't suit him. And I just laughed it off and I drove off. So yeah, those are the cars that I drive.
Yeah.
All right. No, thanks for that, Dr. Sibanda. I think it was very a fruitful conversations that we've had from segment 1 to segment 2.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I like about you is that you're very humble throughout the achievements that you have, and yet you're still going to achieve. You've allowed us to be in your space for you to be
Thank you.
opening up to us, but also you show us respect, even if you didn't know us. As I said, I might be friends with you on Facebook, but you didn't know me. You didn't know Elias, you didn't know Melusi, but we thank you for your time that you've given us, for the past, I think, 3 hours, maybe max, that you've given us, and we appreciate you. And all the best with the books that you're still going to publish. And I hope that people, when they read those books, it's inspirational, which is what you aim, but also it brings healing. And because you've shown your vulnerability, especially in the book that you wrote about your wife, but also the PTSD one. And I look forward to it. When I come to South Africa, I just want to jump into one of those cars. But yeah, in, in closing, thanks.
When is the
And
launch of your book?
I haven't set a date yet, my good sir, because I've got too many other responsibilities that are taking up a lot of my time. So it needs that time where you must plan and do all of these things and set aside time to be able to, because I've got my girl, my younger daughter that does dance, ballets, and so forth, and she just showed me a certificate today. She's been nominated to participate in the America Dance Academy. And she's so excited about it because she went to competition over the weekend. So some of those takes up a lot of my time that I don't find the space to plan for the launch. But I will definitely make the time. And once I know about it, you'll be the first to know.
And you can't take
Um,
your laptop there on those dances. You have to
Hey.
watch her dancing, eh?
Hey,
yes,
very true.
yes,
Very true.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that when we try to invite you to the podcast, I think one of the things you mentioned is that your family first. You spend time,
Yeah.
you have to prioritize them. The only time you're available is after you've done the family work, like your
Yeah.
daughters. And that says a lot about you. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. And to our listeners, please remember to like, subscribe, and follow us on our different social media platforms. And if you want to be a guest on our podcast, if you go on our website, you will find a link that will allow you put your details there, and we'll contact you so that we can invite you into our podcast. And if you have any future suggestions, please comment on our episodes, and then we'll look into that. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.